It comes into effect here on Sunday and will see countries branded green, orange or red. Orange passengers can avoid having to restrict their movements by proving they've tested negative for COVID-19 in the 3 days before their flight. Passengers arriving from red countries will have to quarantine for a full 14 days, but this will be eased when testing at airports is introduced. That's it for now. More in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA, you can find our best discounts on car insurance online. Go to the aa.ie.
Dry and cloudy tonight with lowest temperatures of 0 to 5 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Proud supporters of Movember. Gentlemen, let's mow.
This is News Talk.
All right, you're welcome along to Wednesdays Off the Ball. Nathan with you until 10 o'clock this evening. We've got a busy few hours ahead. James Ryan will join us at 7:30 to talk about the disappointment of Paris and also his hopes and aspirations for the coming months with Ireland and potentially with the Lions as well. After 8 o'clock, we'll bring you more from my chat with Glenn Hoddle and Harry Redknapp. They'll be talking about Robbie Keane, they'll be talking about Gareth Bale and also about the current Spurs setup. So that coming away between 8 and 9. Football show as well, where we will be talking about David McGoldrick's retirement from international football, just confirmed this evening. And we'll keep you on top of all the live Champions League as well, where it's been a bit of a shambles for Manchester United so far in Istanbul. 53106 is the text number, at Off the Ball on Twitter if you want to get in touch. Richie McCormack, good evening.
Nathan, thank you for dragging me away from CNN for half an hour.
It is on. I've just sent a message saying, can somebody turn on the Manchester United match? I've been watching CNN for about 8 hours. I woke up, 8 hours. What are we? 7 o'clock. Probably about 12 hours straight. I went to bed at a reasonable time last night. Made a terrible, terrible error. Johnny Ward, hello to you as well.
Hi, Nathan. Hi, Richie.
Looking like you're working in a call centre right now.
It's my true vocation, really, isn't it?
It is. When you've got young kids, one of the things you have to sacrifice essentially is American life, Richie. I just loved the bit of NBA, the bit of American football. I would go to America at every given opportunity. And then I had kids, and I've never been since. I had to give up on all that, and you can't stay up late and watch the election.
Yeah, I gave up at 1 o'clock, I think, last night when it looked as if, it was going to be an all-nighter, basically, and there wasn't going to be a quick resolution to this thing. And I'm glad I saw sense. I kind of turned off the phone, didn't wake up until then, about 7 o'clock this morning. And, it was all Sligo football dominated, I was glad to say, on my Twitter feed. But, yeah, the last 18 hours have been quite something to watch unfold on TV, has to be said.
I made a terrible mistake. I woke up at about 4 a.m. I heard the baby making a little bit of noise, and I said, I'll just check my phone just to see if there's any update. God. And about an hour later, I was still scrolling through it. Then I fell back to sleep for a couple of hours, but I had several Donald Trump-related dreams.
Well, the baby making noise was actually Trump's midnight speech, so that's what you were trying to get to there. Political joke there, Nathan.
Absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Like Richie, just looking at literally the 5-10 minutes before I came on the show here, and just watching the Betfair market, which is kind of like it's basically all most people have at the moment in terms of trying to decide what's going to happen here. Even in 10 minutes, there's been massive movements and over 500 million quid match. Now that's a little bit misleading, but I've never seen anything like it. The volatility of it, Trump going from really, a strong sort of second favourite to Biden early yesterday morning. When I went to bed last night, he was raging hot favourite, and now Biden has gone hot favourite again. So nobody knows anything.
Are we not at a stage now?
I know, we're
in
at
the last couple of minutes when it's been confirmed that Biden has Wisconsin, even though the Trump's already demanding a recount, that Biden is going to get over 270. It's just nobody knows what is going to happen over the coming days and weeks with Trump.
That's the thing. It's the challenge after it, as baseless as it might be, is going to be the thing that delays everything. But yeah, it's going to be a nasty transition into January when Biden finally takes over in the White House. And as I said on Twitter later on, I dread what the Secret Service are going to find lurking around different corners of that gaff, because it's going to be an interesting transition, as I say, to say the least.
Yeah, I don't know when it started, the expectation that the networks would make the call on the night. I was like you, Richie, at about 12:30 was thinking, you either go to bed now or you're here for the long haul, and there's no guarantee you're going to get a winner. And then there's almost a feeling when you wake up this morning, you're looking online, and again, we're looking online for this, maybe it's not the best thing to be doing, but you're looking online and there's a sense of, well, if they haven't called a winner by 7 or 8 a.m. Irish time, if they haven't called a winner by 2 a.m. in New York. Something a bit dodge going on here. Something not right. Or actually, this is meant to take a long time.
The theory of exit polls went out the window because, the postal voting has been so substantial that they can't actually, with any degree of accuracy, poll people outside of a station yesterday and say which way the vote's going to go one way or the other. So even when the polls closed, they couldn't say, well, we polled, such and such counties in Wisconsin and we've decided that that's going to go the way of Biden or that's going to go the way of Trump. And with that in mind, and with what we already know, we can go with a pretty strong statement that this side is going to win, like they did, I think, back in 2000 and like they did during the Clinton years as well. Everything's just so different to the way it was before, that those days of declaring really early who's going to win and then spending the night backpedaling are dead in the water.
Is John King the Jim White of electioneering?
He's not as annoying. He's nowhere near as annoying.
You got to do a good Jim White, Richie. It's surely in your repertoire.
It has been known to happen from time to time.
Are we going to have a accent off here, because then you're just going to come back with your own Jim White? John, if you want to go with Jim White, go with it.
I want to hear your Jim White.
I don't have a good Jim White, but do you know what fascinates me about this whole election is that I had a cousin over from America back in the days when we could pre-COVID days, and I was talking about Trump and probably talking him down or whatever at the table, and I noticed my cousin's head sort of started to bow, and I met him the following night. I just left the conversation there, but I met him the following night and I said, you didn't vote for Trump, did you, in the last election? And he said he did. And I got the impression from talking to my cousins last night that it's actually become almost like the civil war in this country back in the day. It's become a point of real friction in families between people who are so hateful, who hate Trump so much, and others who vote for him.
Yeah, I think I would have the exact same scenario with the few people I know in Georgia at the moment who are on the verge of falling out with their parents, where the kids are Democrats, the the parents are Republicans, and yeah, you just have to look what's going to happen over the coming days and weeks, and what has happened already. It is pretty divisive, Johnny.
Well, the white women Trump supporters vote was up on 2016. Now, can anyone make sense of that? Seriously, it was up like 3%. I mean, I'm absolutely flabbergasted. I despair at the fact that it's even close, but I think it genuinely is great for the world if Trump gets voted out.
It's a good day to bury bad news, which is exactly what David McGoldrick has done.
You would have thought that, wouldn't you?
Dave McGoldrick has retired from international football, and what a way to bow out. He's obviously realised that performance in Slovakia, the credit he got for that, it's never going to be topped. There's only one way and it's down. So he has retired from international football. I had a quick look. David McGoldrick is the only Irish striker to score a competitive goal in our last 20 games.
I saw that tweet you put up. I was absolutely flabbergasted by that, and it's really indicative of the problems we've had. And in fairness, his Sheffield United goals record like last season wasn't great either, but that Slovakia game you referenced, I thought some of his play was really good, and I think the Kenny formations and the way he likes his kind of two wide men to dovetail with the striker who can drop deep, I thought there was real evidence there that this could work, and this is a blow, in terms of our lack of strikers. We probably have very good strikers going forward, but Adam Ida still has a long way to go. And, we saw the difference McGoldrick made in that Slovakia game. And I was really shocked by this, I have to say. I don't know about you, lads.
Yeah, he's 33 later on this month. So by the time the World Cup comes around in Qatar, he'll be 35. Stephen Kenny, funnily enough, didn't hint at this, but he did say last month in one of his press conferences when he was asked about McGoldrick and how important he become, that when he took the job, he actually didn't think McGoldrick might come back because Sheffield United were on the verge of qualifying for Europe. He's got a very young family. I think he's got 4 kids under 10 or 11, and that maybe because he was back, had such a strong relationship with Mick McCarthy, this was an easy opportunity for him to just step back, but that he was very, very keen to get involved and to be a part of what was happening. So maybe he's just looked at it and looked at Qatar and realised 2 years is a little bit too long. He needs to focus on what's happening with Sheffield United. And also, I guess, international trips are a bit different now than they were. You're coming over for 2 weeks, you're going into your bubble, you're not allowed out, you don't see anybody. Maybe it's just not the draw it once was, but it's a big blow for Stephen Kenny, who we'll hear from tomorrow, Richie, because he's announcing a squad for the games coming up tomorrow lunchtime. So obviously that's why they wanted to preempt that by getting this news out there.
I would totally respect his decision, like 100%. I don't think Irish fans can have any gripes with him making this decision, because ultimately he is getting on, and it's not easy to play the game he plays with all the running it entails at Premier League level, and I completely respect the decision. But it does catapult these forward players into positions maybe that they wouldn't necessarily have been catapulted into so soon, and it's going to be interesting.
The news round, as always, brought to you with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. I liked it so much, I decided to use it, Richie.
Yeah, I see that. I'm used to seeing your jawline.
First time in 12 years I have shaved properly.
Wow. How does it feel? It's weird, isn't it?
It feels very... For the last 2 days, I've been looking in the mirror going, who is that guy? Yeah. The last 12 years, I've somehow managed to develop several more chins and a giant neck.
Oh, wow.
There's all sorts of things that the beard can cover up. So we are doing this for Movember. There's a few of us in here doing it. And just a reminder that Gillette have special Movember packs in store in Tesco, and a donation will be made to charity for each purchase made. You can head over to movember.com/Gillette for more ways to get involved. It was quite a shock for everybody in my house when this happened. So, yeah. And I've got to stick with this. This has to say clean shaven for the month.
Did the nippers cry, by the way? Because there's videos, I don't know if you've ever seen those videos before, where people, like blokes have massive beards, say, and they've had them for ages, and that's all their kids know. And one day they shave it off and they show the reaction video of the kids who get freaked out that there's some new person in the house that doesn't have a beard. And it's just like, who's this lad here? What's going on? Where's Daddy gone? So that's mainly the reason why I won't do it.
Yeah, I was hoping that might happen, but no, they didn't seem bothered at all. I'm more bothered every time, like right now when I'm looking at myself on a screen for the first time going, what the hell happened to this guy? Anyways, 53106 is the text number.
Nathan, life.
Where are you going to start, Richie?
With that David McGoldrick news, he surprisingly announced his international retirement today. The Sheffield United striker scored just once in 14 Republic of Ireland caps, but he had become a key member of the side. McGoldrick says he's retired to concentrate on his club career and his family. As you mentioned, Nathan, Stephen Kenny naming a squad tomorrow for those upcoming Nations League games and that friendly with England. Sligo have conceded Saturday's Connacht football semi-final with Galway. 7 Sligo footballers and 1 backroom team member are believed to have tested positive for coronavirus. The decision not to field a team was made following an online meeting of Sligo's GA executive last night. Sligo say it's impossible for them to fulfil Saturday's fixture in Salt Hill. And speaking on this morning's OTB AM, Connacht GA CEO John Prenty said there wasn't any way the game could be played at another date.
Well, I suppose the regulations that are set up by the National CCCC is that unless there's a 13-day, clear 13 days between the original fixture and the next fixture, then that you've got to give a walkover. There isn't 13 days between the Connacht semi-finals and the Connacht final next Sunday week. And Sligo took the decision that they were going to concede again. They didn't look for a postponement because, as you know, close contacts are out of action for 14 days, so a postponement of a week wouldn't have helped the situation an awful lot.
Yeah, it's really not an ideal scenario at all, Johnny, and I'm surprised by how it almost feels accepting an awful lot of people are of this, that, well, tough luck, lads. Hey, is it because it's Sligo, because nobody gave them much of a hope against Galway anyways?
I think there has to be an element of that. You know, I've sympathy for Paul Taylor and anyone. I remember Paul Taylor as a footballer, absolutely fantastic player, but taking on that job, like a lot of these counties, realistically, it's very, very hard for them to achieve much with the gulf in class between the likes of the haves and the have-nots, and Galway are certainly among the haves. And now you've this situation where Galway essentially could win the All-Ireland playing an amount of games that would be reminiscent of something from, you know, another era, or the Galway hurlers, like essentially just winning 2 or 3 games and winning All-Ireland.
Geez, you're getting a bit ahead of yourselves there, aren't you, Johnny? You're getting a little bit cocky.
In theory.
Oh, yeah.
The recent battering by Mayo may have cushioned,
exactly. Might have softened your cough a little bit, but no.
In any event, I don't know. I've misgivings about this because I'm not Sligo wouldn't have had a hole probably winning the game, but would they not have been able to field some team, and would it have been the same situation if they were playing Leitrim? I don't know.
Yeah, Tomás O'Shea was making a similar point that you go and you get club players, you do whatever you can, but at 3-4 days' notice, is that really fair? Is it any better?
The way this could have been managed, and I know John Prenty mentioned it there, that there was no 13-day window in which to get this done, but the Connacht GA setup is such in relation to the All-Ireland that there is, I think, 3 weeks between the Connacht final and the All-Ireland semi-final that the eventual winner would play in. So in theory, there would have been a little bit of wiggle room to move that Connacht Championship as a whole, I guess, 2 weeks down the line. But whether or not whether or not Sligo are going to still be in any position to field a team in a week or a fortnight's time is probably still up for debate, and it's probably just best for all parties at this stage to probably just make the call.
I think they made a decision that they're not going to move any games up until the semi-final. Basically, that the fixture list is that tight that they've just had a kind of a, we're not going to make allowances for that. But it is disappointing, and I think Tomás O'Shea's point about the integrity of the championship is definitely valid.
53106. If you have any thoughts even on it, do get in touch. A lot of live football on this evening, Richie.
Yeah, past the hour mark in tonight's Champions League Group H game in Turkey. It's currently Istanbul, Başakşehir 2, Manchester United 1. Demba Ba and Edin Visca had the hosts 2-0 up before the break, before Anthony Martial pulled a goal back 2 minutes before half-time. There's an 8 p.m. start to the other game in that group, with RB Leipzig facing Paris Saint-Germain tonight. Also underway at 8 is Chelsea's Group E clash with Rennes at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea line out with former Rennes goalkeeper Edouard Mendy between the posts, a back four of Reece James, Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma and Ben Chilwell. Jorginho, N'Golo Kante and Mason Mount are in midfield, with Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham up front. Also in that group tonight, Sevilla play host to the Russians of Krasnodar. There was a 7 p.m. start to Peamount United's Women's Champions League first qualifying round tie. It's still Glasgow 0, Peamount 0. Thanks for the accompanying music.
The champions.
Shamrock Rovers.
I want the Champions League music. I just thought it would add something to it, Richie.
And Shamrock Rovers players will get their hands on the SSE Electricity Premier Division trophy tonight. The champions welcome St. Pat's to Tallaght Stadium in their final home game of the season. Rovers have urged fans not to congregate outside the stadium, and kick-off in Tallaght is at 7:45. And there's an added note to that as well. The FAI have confirmed this evening that the final round of fixtures have been moved from the Sunday to the Monday of next week.
Couple of things on that before we get into the League of Ireland, which I know you're ready to pounce upon. Have you seen Demba Ba's goal? If you haven't seen this, it is insanity. Manchester United have pushed all 10 outfield players so far forward. And we're only, how many minutes into the game, Richie?
Oh, God. It was about 20 minutes-ish, was it?
So the furthest back outfield player is about 15 yards inside the opposition half. Istanbul, I'm not going to pronounce it, win it back on the edge of their own area. Just fire a long ball forward. And there's literally nobody there from United. Demba Ba's clear through and goal. And just
13 minutes, yeah.
There's nobody better in that one-on-one situation than Demba Ba.
It reminded me of, to dovetail this nicely into mentioning your guest later on, of Glenn Hoddle's goal against Oxford back in '87. I'm sure you probably were looking at it in the lead up. It's that goal where he's played through. I think Gary Mabba plays the ball through, and Hoddle just finds himself pretty much on his own with two members of the Oxford defence, sells them a dummy, then sends the goalkeeper to the shops.
It's the dummy for the,
and tucks home himself.
The dummy for the keeper. That was his last ever game for Spurs.
Goal for Spurs, yeah. I just I like you, when you mentioned you had Hoddle coming up, I went on that deep dive of Hoddle goals, because one of my favourite all-time players, that chip against Watford at Vicarage Road, I could watch over and over again. That goal that I mentioned there against Oxford at White Hart Lane in '87's amazing. And there are some dingers as well for Monaco and for Swindon in the back catalogue too. I just love that style of player whereby he was languid, he sat back, he had vision that anybody would pay for, and was just a magnificent footballer. Classy, probably too classy for his generation.
Those goals were on quite a few different videos. There was 101 great goals. Yeah. There was 501 great English goals, 501 great Serie A goals. I used to sit down and watch this. How long was the 501 great Serie A goals video? Was it like 3 hours?
About 3 hours long, yeah. The 101 great goals, for those interested, the classic VHS is up on YouTube, and it's a work of art from start to finish. There's not a duff moment in 101 great goals. They kind of lost a bit of quality as they went along in the series and tried to just cobble anything into these things. But the original 101 great goals,
it's right there. 1 hour 4 minutes.
It's perfect. You'll not spend a better hour in all your days.
So, Richie, you wanted to brush past it there as Shamrock Rovers are getting the title tonight. Don't even want to acknowledge it. But Johnny?
Who?
Johnny's gone. Johnny is hung up in anger, it seems. He didn't come straight to Shamrock Rovers. He's frozen on the spot.
Oh, he's gone. Look at that.
He is gone. Wow. Full technical breakdown for Johnny Ward this evening.
So we can move past this, can we?
So the Derry City game that was postponed because several of the Derry players tested positive for COVID, there was a feeling that Derry were going to have to forfeit the game, but now they are actually going to play it, and because of that they pushed the entire league season finale back to next Monday.
Yeah, they're going to play that on the Saturday, and then the final round of games is going to be played on the Sunday. We should mention the Derry game was originally postponed because Shamrock Rovers themselves had their own COVID-19 cases to deal with. Then, when they tried to get it played again, some popped up at Derry, which forced it to be, rearranged for the second time. So yeah, we're seeing the after effects and very much the direct effects of the pandemic on the league fixtures. And I think to everybody's relief, we will get this done on Monday night and get it in the can. We'll move on then to the FA Cup remaining quarterfinals and semi-finals.
Right.
And it's an achievement in itself to get it done in the truncated form that it might have been. But the worry now is when can clubs start to make money, because I don't think the Watch LOI service, as brilliant as it has been itself, has brought in the money that they might necessarily have wanted from it.
If Johnny was here, Richie, he'd be ranting and raving about Rovers being the greatest League of Ireland team we've seen in modern times. Like, what would you say to him if he was here right now?
I can see him up there above me.
He's back.
He's back, unfortunately.
Back.
Yeah.
Go on, Johnny. How excited should people be about the Shamrock Rovers side getting the trophy tonight in this truncated season? A giant asterisk beside it, is there?
Yes.
No, I think if it were over the normal season, Rovers would still be comfortably the best team. We spoke to Stephen Bradley on our LOI Weekly podcast lately, and he was saying that he thinks that nobody would have gotten near them. And to be fair, like they dropped like 4 points in the course of the season. But I think what's interesting at the moment is the game against Finn Harps at the weekend. They have brought in some new players. They'd 2 very young players coming on, one scoring on his debut. Reece Marshall, the right back, looks a very good player, but it is a bit of a shame, you know. I suppose when Liverpool won the title, it was really memorable watching on TV and seeing Kenny Dalglish and all that. But this is a bit of a damn squib, to be fair. Like this is 9 years is a long time for Shamrock Rovers not to have won the league, and it would be a great occasion. But I'm actually really looking forward to the game, because Pats are still in that kind of slightly strange situation where they could make Europe, but they're not entirely out of the woods in terms of relegation. So it'll be interesting.
I was on the verge of becoming a Shamrock Rovers fan. I was going every Friday, bringing the kids. They wanted their Shamrock Rovers jerseys. It was going to be glorious.
Lucky escape.
And now all they have, Johnny, is Go United.
Yeah, well, you know, at least Go United are still there. I trust you'll be trying to weasel your way into the media section as Belfield on Friday.
Well, if I do go, Johnny, I might actually do some work, unlike some people who... Are you going to be working at Go United's playoff on Friday?
Working or not working?
You will be there.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
there to get selfies with Caulfield.
It's been an unbelievable story, and as you know, if the way it's going with Shells, if Shells happen to Finn Harps beat Watford and Shells drop into the second last spot, I don't think they'll go into the playoff game in any sort of mental shape that's, you know, becoming of the occasion. Whereas the first division team, be it Longford or Galway, is going to be on a high, and you never know.
For people who don't follow Johnny on social media, well, of course, obviously you should. When you went up to John Caulfield after the game and put your arms around him, at any stage did he mention the global pandemic that's been going on for the last 6 months?
That's not actually what happened. I went up to sort of, you know, sheepishly ask for an interview of sorts, as Pat Dolan was beside us like some sort of a North Korean minder type, and Caulfield hugged me. I did not hug John Caulfield until it was quite apparent that he wanted to hug me. And what are you supposed to do, pandemic or no pandemic? It was a little bit strange, but you know, love is love.
It sure is. Richie, what else you got for us?
Split GAA season could be introduced as soon as 2022. The GAA's Fixtures Review Task Force has recommended a split season model, the merits of which will be put to the counties before the 2021 Congress in February. Under the proposals, the All-Ireland finals would be wrapped up by late July. The Football Championship would also undergo radical alterations, and the GAA's Fergal McGill realises that it may take a lot of convincing for some to change.
So our job is to outline the implications of it as best we can, and so much of what's in this report, and all of the lads that are on the committee would back me up, and there's so much of what's in this report is about choices. So yeah, absolutely, you can have All-Ireland finals in September if you want, but there are certain things you can't have if you do that. So this is one of the things. If you want no interference from the inter-county game with club fixtures, then this is your way to do it. So it's about choices. It's about deciding what people want. And in terms of whether the association is ready for this or not, we'll find out very shortly in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have plenty of reaction to that over the coming days. 53106 if you have any thoughts. Just a couple of minutes left, Richie. Not even.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Yeah. 10 seconds. Diego Maradona recovering after undergoing successful brain surgery. Brought to you this news last night. The 1986 World Cup winner went under the knife in the small hours of this morning, Irish time, in Buenos Aires. A blood clot on the brain was detected with emergency surgery required, but his doctors say that he is expected to make a full recovery and that he's already back and conscious and beginning his slow recovery from that operation last night.
Johnny, we may see you at Belfield, both of us working hard on Friday night. Richie, thank you as always.
Cheers, lads.
All right, guys. Quick break, and we are going to be talking to James Ryan next.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Proud supporters of Movember. Gentlemen, let's mow.